Right now, if you hand your 3-year-old a wooden spoon and an empty pot, what do they do with it? If they start banging out a rhythm, stirring imaginary soup, or turning it into a microphone, pay attention, because that split-second choice is actually a window into how their brain is wiring itself. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist, and I've spent years watching kids play in clinic rooms and living rooms, and one thing has become crystal clear to me. The toys don't matter nearly as much as people think. What matters is the type of play. Some activities light up way more of the brain than others, building attention, problem-solving, language, and coordination all at once. Today, I'm walking you through 10 simple, genuinely fun activities that do exactly that. None of them require expensive toys or screens. And here's the part most parents miss. These windows for rapid brain development are wide open right now, in these early years. So the small stuff you do today is doing a lot more heavy lifting than it looks like. Let's get into activity number 1. Activity number 1, the sock sort. Dump a pile of mismatched socks on the floor and ask your child to find the matching pairs. It sounds almost too simple, but matching by color, pattern, and size builds something called visual discrimination, the brain skill that later helps with reading letters and numbers apart from each other. Watch how they sort. Do they group by color first or texture? There's no wrong answer here. You're just watching their strategy-building brain in action, live on your living room floor. Activity number 2, the freeze dance. Put on music and let your child dance however they want. Then randomly pause the song and call freeze. They have to stop completely, mid-motion, like a statue. This one's sneaky good. It trains something called inhibitory control, which is basically the brain's stop button. It's the same skill that later helps a child wait their turn, resist grabbing a toy, or sit through circle time. A child who's still working on this might keep wiggling for a second or two after the music stops, and that's completely normal. This skill develops gradually, over years, not overnight. Activity number 3, mystery bag. Grab a pillowcase or opaque bag, drop in 5 or 6 household objects, a spoon, a small ball, a comb, a block, and have your child reach in without looking and guess what they're holding just by touch. This builds tactile discrimination, which is your child's brain learning to gather information without relying on their eyes. It also quietly builds vocabulary because they have to describe what they're feeling: smooth, bumpy, round, cold. Now, quick pause here because I want to say this clearly. If your child breezes through some of these activities and struggles with others, that is not a red flag. Every child develops different skills on a different timeline, and no single activity is a test. Think of this list as a buffet of brain-building opportunities, not a scorecard. What matters is exposure and repetition over time, not perfect performance today. Activity number 4, obstacle course builder. Use couch cushions, chairs, and blankets to build a simple obstacle course, then let your child help you design it. Crawling under a table, stepping over a cushion, balancing along a taped line on the floor. This activity is a full-body workout for something called motor planning, the brain's ability to sequence a series of physical steps to reach a goal. It's the same skill they'll later use to follow a multi-step instruction like put on your shoes, grab your backpack, and meet me at the door. Activity number 5, the copycat pattern game. Line up a few blocks or crayons in a simple pattern, red, blue, and ask your child to copy it, then extend it. This one builds pattern recognition, an early math skill that shows up years later in things like reading music, telling time, and even coding logic. Start with 2 colors, then work up to 3 or 4 as they get comfortable. Activity number 6, story swap. Instead of just reading a book to your child, stop halfway through and ask, What do you think happens next? Let them make up their own ending, even a silly one. This activity is doing double duty. It builds narrative sequencing, which is the brain skill behind organizing thoughts in order, and it strengthens verbal expression, since they have to put that imagination into actual words. Something that can genuinely help here is having a go-to list of open-ended questions on hand, because most of us blank on what to ask in the moment. I put together a free printable with dozens of these prompts sorted by age, and I'll drop the link below if you want it. It takes the guesswork out of turning any story into a brain-building conversation. Real quick, a moment that always makes me laugh. I once asked a 3-year-old in my clinic how her story should end, and she looked me dead in the eye and said the dragon just went to go get milk. No dramatic conclusion, no moral of the story. The dragon simply needed milk. And honestly, that's the whole point. It's not about a correct ending. It's about the fact that her brain built an entire sequence of events out of nothing on the spot. Activity number 7, the balance beam walk. Lay a strip of tape on the floor, or use a real balance beam if you have one, and have your child walk heel to toe along it. This builds vestibular processing, your child's sense of balance and body position in space, which quietly supports everything from handwriting posture to sitting still at a desk later on. If they wobble off constantly, that's just where they are right now developmentally, not something to worry about. Activity number 8. The sorting basket. Grab a laundry basket and a pile of mixed toys. Then ask your child to sort them into groups. All the cars in one pile, all the animals in another. This builds categorization, the brain skill behind organizing information into mental folders. It's a skill that shows up later in everything from vocabulary building to basic math concepts like grouping and counting. Activity number 9. Simon Says Slow Down. Play a gentle version of Simon Says, but build in multi-step instructions as your child gets more comfortable. Simon says, touch your nose, then clap twice. This strengthens working memory, which is the brain's ability to hold on to information long enough to use it. It's the exact skill your child leans on when you ask them to grab their shoes, put on their coat, and wait by the door. Activity number 10, the feelings chart game. Show your child a few simple faces, happy, sad, frustrated, surprised, and ask them to point to how a character in a story is feeling or how they felt earlier that day. This one builds emotional literacy, the brain skill behind naming and understanding feelings, which research consistently links to better self-regulation down the road. Now, before you go try all 10 of these tonight, I want to say this clearly. None of these activities are a race, and your child doesn't need to master all of them by a certain age. Kids develop these skills at wildly different paces, and that's normal. This list isn't a checklist to stress over. It's just a menu of small, everyday moments that happen to be doing a lot of quiet work in the background. If you're the kind of parent who's already thinking about what comes next developmentally, you'll want to check out the video where I break down the early warning signs that a toddler might benefit from an extra push in speech or motor skills, because catching those moments early makes a real difference, and I walk you through exactly what to look for at home.